This is Andy Purewal for Boxing News. I'm joined by trainer Shane McGuigan here in New York. Shane, it's good to see you. How are you doing?
Good, thanks, mate. Yeah, different setting, and you've just blinded me.
Shane, obviously you're here. Ellie Scotney's debut for MVP. She's had a tough time over his last couple of years trying to get the big fights that she's wanted, but she's getting back in there on a big platform on Netflix. How excited are you for her for Saturday night?
Yeah, look, I mean, we can't complain really. I mean, like, it's even with her previous career. Yes, she hasn't been as active as we'd like, but she's got 2 world titles and she's Ring Magazine #1. So Matchroom have done a good job with her, and I think they said look around, and this opportunity was there. We went back to them. They had matching rights, and we've ended up on MVP. It's the platform to be right now, and that sort of rhymed. But look, on Netflix, what an amazing platform, and what an amazing card. I think there's 17 world title fights or world titles on the line across all of the fights. So I don't think there'll ever be a boxing card, male or female, with this amount of world titles and world title fights.
I think no matter what people think of Jake Paul, one thing he's always done, he's been an advocate for women's boxing. Hence the show we're going to see on Friday night. But with everything on show on Friday, being on Netflix, as you say, do you feel like this is the perfect stage now for Ellie to really not just grow that profile, but to show herself to be one of the best female fighters in the world?
Yeah, I mean, look, you see, Shanika Johnson, who's up there beside her, a former opponent that she beat quite well, quite convincingly, and now she potentially could be the undisputed in the weight below. So it just shows you the calibre that Ellie's been in. But the most important thing is going out there and putting on a good performance against Mercado. I think Mercado's, I know she's been unbeaten since she boxed on Serrano, and Daniel Dubois was on that card, so I watched that up close, and yeah, I guess it was at Jake Paul versus Tyler Woodley, and I think I remember watching and thinking, I went up ringside afterwards and just watched the shot. She was getting thumped about, and Serrano can really dig, especially at that weight. And it was I just was incredibly impressed with her resilience. So we know that this is going to be a hard fight. We know that Ellie has to take the fight to her, don't get me wrong, but also be smart and fight intelligently. And she's quite wild with her punches, and we got to make sure that she puts on a great performance and tries to steal the show as much as she can.
Obviously, I don't think anybody will expect to see continuous all-female cards moving forwards, but what's the plan in terms of that activity that MVP have said for Ellie moving forwards?
3 fights a year, and I think we've got an extensive contract that my brother Jake's been working with MVP and it's a strong contract in her favour, and it gives her activity, and there's choice there as well. It's so that's the most important thing. There's choice, and we get a chance to try and pick our opponents. And look, as you can see, like, it's the first time we've been able to pick an opponent, and we said get Mercado, and they were like, well, that's quite a hard first fight, so it doesn't matter, just get Mercado. She wants a big fight. This is the night that she wants to go out there and box somebody really competitive. She doesn't want no easy touches, and Mercado was going and rejecting it. So Ellie even mentioned, she wrote to her personally on Instagram and said, look, come on, accept the fight. And then it nearly got done then. So it's great. It just shows you what she wants to do in the sport and where she wants to be.
Performance of the night will result in a $250,000 reward. Do you expect to see Ellie try and pick that one up?
Yeah, I think she just got to go out there and box to her best ability. There's a lot of amazing fighters on the card, and I think you need a great opponent to be able to get fighter of the performance of the night, and I think that's down to how Mercado approaches the fight. But she's definitely in the running for that, because it's probably one of the most competitive fights in the card.
Just a word on that main event as well. Katie Taylor, Amanda Serrano, they've done it twice. Katie come away victorious on both occasions. Do you expect to see her complete a full set in this trilogy?
I think so. I favour. I mean, knowing Katie a long time, I favoured her in both fights. I think they're trying to boil her down to 136. I think that'll actually improve her chances of going 3-0, because I think this, when she gets down to that 135, 136 sort of fighting weight, it's where she gets her. I think that's her best performance weight, even though she's just turned 39. She's a great athlete. She had over 40. I think she had nearly 50 caps for Ireland at football. She's just a phenomenal athlete. Preserved her body well, lives her life, and Serrano's obviously got an amazing chance. Don't get me wrong, but hopefully they don't rob her, and hopefully she gets a fair shake.
Just seen Chris jokingly jab away there at Josh Pritchard. What's the latest with CBS?
He's boxing Josh Pritchard in an exhibition on Friday night.
Away from Josh Pritchard, so that is too.
Yeah, listen, it's just figuring out what's best for Chris Billam-Smith. He had a great win in his last one. He's got a second baby on the way in September, so he's got his priorities in order with his family. But yeah, he's also looking at a good opportunity next. And I think in an ideal world, we'll see the winner of McGuigan versus Badr Jack and try and get that. I think McGuigan might beat him, and that might be the fight that we get.
So Shane, some of your fighters are teamed up with boxers, promoters. We're waiting to see where they're going in a broadcast sense. What can you tell me in terms of the plans for Adam, for Caroline, and have you got any information to share?
Not got any information. They're still in contract with Boxer, and we're working towards the next date. Really, that's it. That's as much as I can say. So yeah.
Have you got at least a date in mind when you're hopeful that they'll be out next?
Well, look, Adam was a bit frustrated after that last one. We wanted to get him out before Boxer's deal was up really, and that was an importance for us, and that didn't come through. So he wants to get active, but he has just got married last week, and so look, we'll be looking to get them out as soon as we can.
I'm just waiting for a couple of things we can talk to you about. Usyk-Dubois next week. How do you see it going on?
I think Daniel's got a better chance than he did the last time. I don't think he won many rounds apart from that cracking shot that was borderline potentially low. And that's going to be a talking point for years and years to come. So, whether he can find that shot again, obviously they're hopeful. I just think if you take that shot away, the majority of the fight was won by Usyk and his boxing IQ and his pressure and his intelligent pressure. I don't like the fact that Usyk's fallen out with his long-time promoter and friend. I think that's an alarming thing to do this close to a fight like that. I don't know whether Alex saw something that he didn't like, and I think there's sometimes you can take. I don't think he has enough respect for Daniel. I think he's very dismissive of him. Obviously, he's a proud man. A lot of people would say that he faked it and this and that, and it was a legitimate shot and he should have lost. But yeah, he's going to get his back up. But I also don't think he has enough respect for him and what he's achieved of late. And Daniel's on fantastic momentum. So I think it's going to be more interesting. I think it's definitely going to be more competitive, and it's in Daniel's home, where he had a fantastic performance against AJ. So, Daniel's always needed belief, and he has that in abundance right now. So I think he has a great chance. I just still going to lean towards Usyk.
How daunting of a challenge do you think that Daniel Dubois will be for anybody in that heavyweight division? Because as you said, he's on a fantastic run of form at this moment in time, and he seems to have that belief, that confidence that when he steps between the ropes, he's going to stop anybody. He's going to do whatever it takes. He'll walk through the fire to get his hand raised. How daunting of a challenge do you think it is to face somebody like Daniel Dubois at this moment in time?
Oh, he's an absolute beast. He was an absolute beast when he was with me. People were scared to come in and spar him. He just didn't have the opportunities to go and get the big fights, and we were always hopeful that there was a Fury fight or an AJ fight, because I know that they have the chinks that he can expose, and he just hasn't got the chance to do it against Fury, but he did against AJ, and I think even against Usyk he's still hurting more than anybody else really. So he's a frightening person to fight, especially if he starts getting into a groove. So that's down to Usyk to push him back. People think you got to run away from it. It's not. It's the opposite. You got to push him back, and you got to do it intelligently, and that's what he did in the last fight. And I think he knows that more than anybody in Usyk. He knows that he's a powerful guy that he's like a steamroller. Once he gets that momentum, he's just going to keep fucking running forward with big bombs, and he can if he hits anyone, he can take him out. So the thing for Usyk is to push him back, and that's what he did in the first fight, and I don't see why he can't do that in the second fight.
That's one from me, Shane. Canelo-Crawford on September the 13th. Just your take, please.
I'm a big Crawford fan, but I have been looking at his fights more and more, and I watched Jose Benavidez fight the other day. And there was just a few glimpses in that fight that I just thought, if Canelo's in front of him, I think he'll just be too big. and he doesn't throw as many punches as Benavidez, but he's more calculated. He's got great head movement. He's got a great presence in the ring, and I think it'll be a step too far for him.
Shane, I appreciate your time as always. Good luck on Friday night.
No worries, thanks mate.